welcome to a very belated monthly roundup video. Time over the last couple of months has just gotten away from me completely. If you're a regular viewer of the podcast, you will know that. But yeah, finally, I am sitting down to record my monthly roundup video for March and April. I'm going to combine them together into one monthly roundup video because not a lot really happened in March anyway, and obviously we're nearly 2 months past March, so yeah, it would be really delayed if I stuck to just one. So yeah, hello, welcome. If you are new and you don't know who I am Helen. I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and I am the host of the Giddy Knits podcast, which is the main series of videos that you'll find on this channel. That is my crafting podcast where I talk about kind of whatever projects I'm working on, mostly on a weekly basis. Occasionally it has a bit of a gap between them, but we aim for weekly. And this video is what I'm calling my monthly roundup videos. So each month I am sitting down to talk about what I finished in the previous month, what goals that I'd set myself and whether I stuck to those goals, kind of setting goals for the next month going forward. And also I like to sit and chat about books as well. So a bit of a mix of crafting and books. I am in a different location, as you may have realised. It is miserable outside. It is tipping it down with rain. And I've got the dining room where I normally sit is all set up for me to get some more warping done this afternoon. So I just thought I'm just going to sit on the sofa and make life a little bit easier for myself. So yeah, that's where I'm sat. Okay, so what have we got for you for this video? So I'm going to start off just talking about finished objects. So things that I finished during March and April. I'm then going to talk a little bit about a kind of a check-in on my March goals that I'd set myself. And then we'll set some new goals for May. We're kind of skipping over April because I didn't really set myself goals from April. I think my March goals just kind of carried on into April. But then I will set myself a few goals for May, although I'm aware we're very much most of the way through May already. But I can still have goals, can't I? And then I'll talk about how many books I read across March and April. Yeah, I've very much done this so that it is only March and April. So anything that I finished in May so far, any books that I finished in May so far, I won't be touching on. I'll save those for my May monthly roundup video, which will hopefully not be as late as this one. Okay, so should we just get into some finished objects then? So I've got my show notes on the arm of the chair, which is why I'm kind of looking down that way every so often. So I finished quite a few things actually across March and April. I finished Tom's March socks and his February socks, which were these ones here. So these were his February socks. And I've been making him a single sock with my colour of the month colourways. I'm sure you're all more than aware of that and sick of me explaining it every time. But yeah, that one is February sock. And then I also finished March's sock. I am well on the way with April's sock. I just need to put the heel in and then do the foot. And I still need to dye May's colourway actually. I'm hoping to get that done this week. But yeah, that's it. Well, he now has 3 completed socks. I'm hoping by the end of the year he should have 12 completed socks, and then he'll have a nice odd box of socks. Because as I've mentioned before, my husband likes to wear odd socks pretty much all the time. Then I also finished, while we're on the topic of socks, I also finished a pair of socks for me. I finished my Witcher socks. These were knit using some self-striping from Down Sheepy Lane. In her Toss a Coin to Your Witcher colourway. I love this self-striping. I love these colours. They're such a different combination of colours. Really, really pretty. So that's one pair of socks finished for me. I also finished off my February sample sock for the Beatrix Potter Club. I've been, again, similar to what I'm doing for Tom, I'm going to be making myself some odd shorty socks. So I've got February's here. I'd finished January's. I have actually finished March's, but I finished it during May and haven't shown it finished on the podcast yet either. But yeah, February's got finished, so that's not bad sock-wise. And then I also finished a couple of other things that I don't have right with me to show you because I forgot to pick them up. I finished my tinsel mitts that I was knitting for Jasper. They were quite a quick little finish and he has been wearing them. I also finished my gnome, which is sitting on my shelf and I completely forgot to pick it up. But I've also forgotten what the gnome's called. Was it Norwin? Was it Norwin? No, it was Numbleberry. Numbleberry with Niblet in the backpack. Oh dear, I'm not very good with names of gnomes. But I did get that gnome finished, so that's really good. I am hoping to do the new mystery gnome. I am planning to knit it, but I still haven't sorted out what colours I'm going to do for it. I really need to work that out. I really need to decide. Actually, I'm dyeing up... I'm test dyeing the brand new self-striping colourways today, but I'm doing it using mini skeins. So basically I can just test dye the mini skein and get the colours that I want accurate, and then when I go to dye the stripes it makes it a lot easier because I've already got the recipes for each of the colours. And actually thinking about the gnome and so I have seen a sneak peek of the gnome because a friend of mine is one of the dyers behind, one of the dyers included, and she very, very kindly shared a sneak peek of the gnome with me to help me pick my colours. So yeah, I'm thinking some of the colours from the new self-striping might work well, which means I could actually just steal some of those minis, which means they'll get a use rather than just being shoved into my endless box of 20-gram minis that I need to at some point sort and put on the website. Anyway, so yeah, what else did I finish? Tinsel mitts, witcher socks. I also finished my armour sweater, so a couple of bigger things did get finished. So I finished my armour sweater, which is this one here, and I did get this finished just before East Anglia Yarn Fest. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it will get some wear in the summer, I think. I've got a really nice green dress that I bought, just a really simple kind of stretchy jersey dress, quite long. But this actually works quite nicely over it. So I think in the summer when I can have kind of bare arms, that will go quite nicely over top of that dress. So it will get some wear, but it will also work well for samples for shows. So the armour sweater is a pattern by Maddie Harvey, and it's a DK weight cropped sweater with this fantastic string of pearls detail at the top, which I think is so, so effective. Do you know, I really love the raglan shaping and the way the string of pearls works around the raglan. I always think it just looks really good, doesn't it? Anyway, so that's that one. The other thing that I have finished, and I am claiming this as finished, I haven't blocked it yet and I haven't done the tassels yet, but I have woven in all the ends. And that is my Cupid's arrow wrap, which was knit with the Spectrum Fibres 2020 Advent Calendar. And I do absolutely love it. There were a couple of moments when I was knitting it where I was a little bit concerned about how I'd chosen to put the colours together, the order I'd put them in, where especially places like this where I had quite low contrast between two of the different sections, and then I had sort of areas where there was quite high contrast between them, and I wasn't sure I was pleased with like the two colours that I'd put together, whether I'd put them in the wrong order or things like that. But actually now that it's finished and it's kind of there as a whole, I do really like it. And it is the type of thing that I will wear a lot in the winter, and it will be really, really cosy. I just need to get round to sorting out the tassels and giving it a good block, really. I'm not sure quite where I'm going to block it. I think that's what's making me hesitate, because actually having enough floor space to block it is going to be a challenge. I think I need a good day. I need a day where the weather's really nice and actually I can probably shove it outside on some blocking, a combination I think of blocking mats and towels on the grass in the sunshine. But that's not going to happen today because it is tipping it down. So yeah, that is everything that I finished across March and April. I'd set myself 4 goals in March. I wanted to get my armour sweater finished, which I accomplished, so that is really good. I wanted to get Tom's March sock finished, so I did that. I wanted to get my Beatrix Potter Club sample sock finished in March. I did that. Haven't finished April. Oh no, actually I have finished April's now, but I haven't shared that with you because I finished it in May. And then I also wanted to knit another colour therapy block, which I didn't do. I think the last one I shared with you was the turquoisey blue tealy one, and I'd finished that in February, and I'd said that I wanted to get another one knit during March, and I haven't even started it. But hopefully at some point I'll get that. I'll carry on with it. So going forward into May, we're more than halfway through May, but going into May, the goals that I kind of want to set myself for May are, I want to make some more progress on blankets. I've been really enjoying picking up blankets again recently. If you watched last week's podcast, you'll know that I picked up my Cozy Memories blanket, and I added quite a lot onto that. Spoiler for the podcast, I finished that row that I was working on, and I have started the next row. So I'd like to get some more blanket progress done. Partly on this. Also, oh, that's my buzzer. That's just to remind me to go back and check on the minis that I've got dying, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine for however much longer I talk to you. There's not going to do any harm to them. They're in water and it's not going to be an issue. So blanket progress, yeah, Cozy Memories particularly. I also want to work out what joining method I'm going to use for my Middle-earth Minis Club minis and actually start joining them, because that would be really good. I'd like to get at least started on the next block of the colour therapy blanket. And also I might have started a new blanket. I'm not going to show it to you today. I will talk about it on the podcast. But I've started a blanket using the 2021 advent calendar from Erin at Henny Penny Makes. I saw her this weekend. They came round, her and her family came round for the afternoon on Saturday, and I was talking about wanting to do a blanket, and we were talking about advents in general, and then Sunday I sat down and caked up all the minis from her advent and decided what I'm going to do and started it. So I will talk about that more on the podcast, which hopefully I will be recording tomorrow. So yeah, lots of blanket progress is one of the things I really want to do in May. I also would like to get the samples done. So I want to get April's colour of the month done for Tom for his sock. I want to get my March sock finished, which I've actually done now. I'd really like to get the May colour of the month sample started, and also get the April Beatrix Potter Club samples started, because I really need to kind of keep up with those, otherwise I'm going to get really behind. I'd like to start the Mystery Gnome knit along. Which, I was saying a minute ago, I think I will dig out some of the minis from the stripes that I'm dyeing today. I'll steal the minis from the test run and do that. So again, hopefully I will share the colours that I'm going to use on the podcast. They should be dry by tomorrow, hopefully, if I get my act together and actually get them hung up to dry today. And then the other thing I wanted to really try and get done in May is some more spinning, because I have finished spinning the yarn that I was spinning. Oh, I've shoved everything into here. Right, bear with me 2 seconds. This got tidied away hastily because I was doing it on the dining table and then it was dinner time. So I have finished both bobbins that I was spinning from. This was just the fibre that I got with, I had a drop spindle starter kit from a friend of mine for Christmas or my birthday one year, can't quite remember which, This was the fibre that came with it. It's just a really, really bright, colourful, mixed kind of art bat with sparkle and all kinds of stuff in there. So I have finished plying the 2 bobbins. I finished spinning the 2 bobbins and I started plying it. But then it was dinner time and I didn't get a chance to come back to it. I didn't get a chance to finish the bobbin. So I would really like to do that. And in fact, I'm going to ask anyone that has an electric eel, I've worked out how to ply on it. That's all fine. I've kind of got that. I think I've got it sussed. Goodness knows whether I'm doing it right or whether it's working properly. Have a little look at it and tell me if you think it's looking okay. Hopefully it is. I don't know. But my question was that I had 2 full bobbins and now I'm plying them together. They're going to be too much, aren't they, for 1 bobbin? So I'm going to have to split it. Which seems a bit of a shame, really, to have to split it onto 2 bobbins. It would have been nice to be able to ply it into 1. But I think that it'll be too full, or can I just overfill the bobbin? That's probably not a good idea, is it? It's probably better to split it into 2. I don't really know. I don't really know what I'm doing at all with this. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it. I want to do something. I want to do something like a blanket of some kind or something that's going to kind of showcase my spinning as it progresses slightly, if that makes sense. So I'm not sure. The other thing I need to get is, I've forgotten what they're called, but something that you put your bobbins on so that you can ply from them more easily, because at the moment they're just bouncing around in a box while I ply from them, which is probably not the best way to do things. So yeah, I need to work out what it's called and where I get one of those, because that would make life a lot easier, definitely. But yeah, I would like to get a little bit more plying done this month as well, because it seems daft that it's sitting there half plied. So hopefully I will be able to find some time in an afternoon or something like that to plug it in and get that finished. I think that's everything crafting wise that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, goals wise, I mean, I've picked those 4 things as my May goals. I would like to work more on my garments. I want to work more on everything really and get some things finished, but I'm really enjoying blankets at the moment, so I'd like to spend a bit more time doing that. And I've got a few things that I need to kind of get finished and would like to start sample wise for the shop as well. But yeah, that's all the knitting stuff. So shall we talk books? So, what am I talking about? Books. Across March and April, I finished 11 books in total. Although 4 of them were quite quick graphic novels, so I've decided to count them. I've talked about, like, before I've mentioned graphic novels, and a number of you have said that you would count graphic novels as books that you've read during the year. Anyway, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to count graphic novels as books that I've read during the year. What I don't count is books that I've read to Arthur, because I don't always read them all. We split it between Tom and I. So I could say that I've read like 3 or 4 different How to Train Your Dragons books this year, but we won't count those. Anyway, so books that I have read. I'm going to do them in chronological order. So the first book that I finished in March, and I'm going to move this way a little bit so I can pop the pictures up on the screen, because I don't have all of the books. Most of the books I don't have physically because I read on a Kindle. So the first book that I finished was We Begin at the End by Chris Whitaker. And I really enjoyed this. It wasn't what I was expecting, and it was quite slow. It took quite a long time to get into, and it was nearly 2 months ago that I finished it, so I'm a little bit hazy on my recollection of it. But you follow Duchess, who is a teenage girl who comes from a very complicated family, and it kind of follows the death of her mother and what then happens with her and her brother, and the life the way their life goes, basically. But it is very good. There are a lot of dark moments in it, a lot of kind of difficult moments in it, but I think the way it's told through kind of Duchess's eyes, and the way you learn things based on kind of what she knows, and she's young and yeah, very headstrong, and it had funny moments, and it had dark moments, and it had moments that kind of made you want to cry, and yeah, I did really enjoy it. And then the next book that I read finished was The Galaxy and the Ground Within, which is the 4th book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. And if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I fell in love with this series. Absolutely loved it. And I really like how it's all set in the same world, but each book is kind of standalone. Each book is separate. And the 4th book follows a very eclectic group who are from all different parts of the universes, all different kinds of alien race, and they're kind of forced together it's kind of like a rest stop when they're travelling, when a disaster happens up in space, basically. I'm not explaining this very well, and it forces them to all stay together at this rest stop until they can leave. And it's very much a book where not a lot happens, but you just get to know these characters and their interactions, and them kind of managing all the cultural differences between them and learning about each other. And it was lovely. It was really good. And yeah, I think Becky Chambers does things so well with kind of different, diverse, like the way her aliens are also very diverse, and the way they interact, and she just does it very well, and she does characters very well. You just fall for the characters, and they're so well written. So yeah, that was the final book in the Wayfarer series. I haven't read the novella yet, actually, so at some point I will go back and do that and read the little novella that she wrote too. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed to have finished the final book and know that there aren't any more out there, because I really did enjoy that series. Then the next book I finished and started and read was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, which a number of you will have heard of. It's been doing the rounds for absolutely ages, and a couple of years ago I did listen to the audiobook of it, and I struggled with the audiobook. I think it was the narrator. I often find with audiobooks, I don't listen to audiobooks very much at all nowadays, because I'm really sensitive to the narrator. I don't even know how to explain it, but this book in particular, as an audiobook, I really didn't get on with, because the voice actor who did it, she just made, this is my personal opinion obviously, but I felt like she just made Farah really whiny, and I didn't enjoy the way she portrayed the characters, and I didn't get into the book because of that. But I knew I wanted to give it another go, because it seemed like a book series that I would really enjoy. It kind of ticked all the boxes of kind of the types of fantasy and things like that I enjoy. So I thought I'd give it another go. And finally, I have enjoyed it. I actually finished the second book as well, A Court of Mist and Fury. So I did find that the second book was better than the first book. I enjoyed the first book, but there was always something that wasn't quite sitting right with me about Tamlin and Farah, and that something didn't quite sit right the whole way through, and I couldn't quite see them together, but anyway, that kind of all resolved itself in the second book, so I'm glad I carried on and read the second book. And yeah, I did really enjoy them. I'd recommend them. A lot of people say that they're quite spicy, but they're not. Compared to what other things I've read, I'm not sure I would really call them spicy. But anyway, so that was that one. I then fell down a massive rabbit hole. So I have had a number of Alice Oseman books on my to-read list for absolutely ages, and I knew that the Heartstopper TV series was coming out in April. So I finally picked up the graphic novels, and this was something I did have to get in physical form because I can't do graphic novels on an e-reader. So I picked up Heartstopper, volumes 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I sat down and I think I read them all in one day. Absolutely loved them. It is so sweet. There is so much, it's so well done. It is just really cute and sweet and lovely. And I then fell down a big rabbit hole. So I read book number 1 and book number 2, these are pretty much what the TV series on Netflix is based off. Books 1 and 2, and I have to say it is one of the best adaptations I've ever seen of anything, really. They did the comics so much justice. There are so many moments from the TV series that you look back at the comic books and you're like, that was word for word. Absolutely. They did such a good job with the adaptation and everything like that. I then went on to read the third one and the fourth one, which go much more into kind of Charlie's mental health journey and things like that. And they are absolutely brilliant. I then needed more of the world because that's kind of what happens. So I then picked up Solitaire, which was Alice Oseman's first novel, which it follows Tori Spring, who is Charlie's big sister, basically, and it follows her, and it's quite dark. It's very much about kind of teenage mental health, and she's quite isolated and quite lonely in the book, and it just kind of it was really, really good, and but I would say it definitely comes with some trigger warnings. And I know that in 2020, Alice Oseman actually went back and rewrote a few sections of the book to kind of correct some of the things that she had written and she wished she had written in a less triggering way, I think was the idea behind it. But that introduces Nick and Charlie, who are the two main characters from Heartstopper. And I then went on to read 2 of Alice Oseman's novellas, also based around the world. So I read This Winter, which follows the Spring family, and you get a little section from each of them. So a little section from Charlie, a little section from Tori, and a little section from the little brother as well. And then I also went on to read Nick and Charlie, which is another, again, it's a novella. It's not as light-hearted as the Heartstopper books are. And it's set it's set towards the end of college when Nick is about to go off to university. And it's Nick and Charlie dealing with the fact that Nick is going to be leaving and he's going to be going to university, and what that means for them, basically. But yeah, that is all the books that I read in March and April. I have still been reading, and I have more books to share with you in the next episode. But have you read any of the books that I mentioned? Are there any that you would recommend based off those books that I've recommended as well? I've definitely got, I finished the third Court of Thorns and Roses book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. I finished that one at the beginning of May, so I will talk about that one more in the next monthly roundup. And I pretty much have Alice Oseman's backlist on my to-read list as well. So I will be reading those. I know I really want to read Loveless, which is one of her books. It's based around Georgia, who is a girl who goes to university, and her kind of her journey of discovering that she's asexual, and that sounds really good, and I've had a number of people recommend that one to me as well. But yeah, what should I read next? Let me know. Anyway, I think I'm about to have a delivery and I really need to wrap up this video because I need to go and get some warping done. But I hope you've enjoyed my monthly roundup. I'm sorry that it is so late and a little bit rushed, possibly. I'm not sure. But I will be back for another normal podcast episode soon. Let me know what you think. Let me know Let me know what you think. No, don't. I'm not going to say that because then you'll just all tell me how rubbish this video was. Let me know in the comments what you are working on. What goals have you set yourself for May? What books do you want to read in May? What books have you finished in March and April? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.